Hello there. Welcome to the Monty Dean Show. Very interesting times that we're living through. It's another episode, and I've brought back Steve Zerilath, or I've let him out of his basement. Yeah. The last conversation we were talking about the Norse, which was very fascinating, and I believe the video's done well as well. A lot of people are like, "Wow, okay, I'll follow it." So, thank you and thank me for the conversation.
I'm excited. You have passed me in subscribers now. Before,
yes,
you were below me, and now you're like a good 30 subs ahead.
Yes, it's not about a competition, but suck it. But I bring you on, so now maybe people can transfer, and where one goes, we all go. But that's a different conversation. This episode
times now.
This episode, we're going to get a bit tarot, which is fascinating because. Well, this is where I just handed the talking stick to you, really. You've started readings, and with runes as well. So yes. That's fascinating because I did follow a YouTube channel that did rune tarot readings. And she did it for 7 years, but at the end of last year, she decided to sort of withdraw from the internet side. And okay. I think her higher self's gone, yeah, it's going to get nuts. So you need to look on you.
That's interesting. I knew one person that not knew them, but I saw one channel where someone with a Norse acumen was also doing the runes and the tarot combined, but there wasn't much material on it.
Yeah. It's fascinating because the runes enhance it, don't they? Because, well, let's go through a mini history of the tarot, because the tarot is divinity cards, basically, and it's through the cards you get a reading of the energy in the moment of now.
Yeah. It's the cards are a psychological complex that were picked up upon with there's kind of this obscure kind of earliest mark of the beginnings, because it kind of grew as kind of like this card game that was getting played in different places in Europe, and it started with, I think it was 52. About 52 cards or so. They hadn't created the trump cards, the triumph cards, the major arcana as it's known. And you just had the 4 basic suits, which are just like how you use a bicycle playing card deck today, where you've got the 4 court cards, which are kings, queens, knights, and knights,
jacks,
and the jacks. The jacks are knaves, or a prince or a princess, or effectively kind of like the squire to the knight, if you will, and then you've got the 10 steps within each of those suits, and in these suits are representative of the four elements, mm-hmm. and so the game started like that, where there was kind of this idea of progression with them, where if you went from Ace of Swords to 10 of Swords, it was telling a story about the development of an idea. Same thing with the cups. The cups, which is water, swords are air. They tell a story of the development of an emotion. The wands or rods, I usually prefer the rod or the staff, because there are wands in the tarot, but they end up getting called wands also, because there's a wand that's in the hand of the magician that is significant, as well as in the hand of the maiden on the world card. And there's a significance to that wand as a representation of the 5th element, which also is what that major arcana that comes later during, I think, the Renaissance or the late Middle Ages period, if I'm recalling correctly. So for me, like, I don't think too much about the history, as much as I'm a history guy in many respects. I don't think too much about the history.
No.
With the tarot, all right? Because, like, it had some early starts in France and Italy with, I think it's called the Marseille deck was the French deck, and the Italian deck known as the Visconti deck, and over time, coming up until like more recent, like I think the 19th century, end of the 19th century, early 20th century, then you have the Rider-Waite Smith, which gives us all of the popular ways that they look. But going a little bit back in time, over time, the major arcana got introduced as the game started to kind of pick up a certain sense of mysticism, because I think over time people were starting to notice synchronicities between what was going on with the people playing the game and what was happening in the meaning within the cards, which were just visual, but also with the number. And then over time, the major arcana was representative to be these greater archetypes involved in the process. So, like, where you have your 4 kings of the elements, then all those kings, if you have an empire, you have an emperor, and so that's the king of the kings.
Yeah.
Right. So you have the emperor represents something, something like that as a higher form of the meaning of the king. Where there's more of a certain kind of lordship, where a king is much more about like personal direct action, right? Those are all different kinds of elements. And then there's the inherent numerology of the base 10 system. And there's all of the allusions to astrological connections, which also makes it connected to the base 12 system as well, because there's something important about the base 12 system, and not everything you Europeans do needs to be in centimeters.
Well, yeah, because the numbers of our galaxy / universe is 7 and 12. And then you've got the metric system, which is easier to use, where it's centimeters and meters and everything else like that. But imperial is based on nature. However, if you go to Mars, their imperial system would be different because it's a different construct of a planet. And I guess the metric system can jump, where it's like, this, 10 centimeters is this long. Oh, that's, say, 2.5 inches. Oh, fair enough. It's, That's the other thing. It's like, I think there's 2 or 3 countries in the world that hasn't picked up the metric system. One is the United States. I think the other one's Bahrain or something strange like that. The thing is, I was taught metric, but I didn't know about imperial because of my parents, because we changed the measuring thing. Both should be taught. So you can have both, where, like, how tall are you? 185 centimeters, which is, I think, 5'9". And so it's part of the chicanery of the education. It's like, oh no, one way, but there's 3 other ways. And if we go to the you've heard my shows where I have to try and mentally figure out miles and kilometers, or Celsius and Fahrenheit, and it's like,
I know that the kilometer is noticeably less than a mile. That's
I think a mile in kilometers is 1.6. Or something like that. So I just do it at a base halving and change it from there. We're talking about length, ladies and gentlemen. Hey.
And what also, else let's talk about.
Our sensitive
side. My wand is bigger than yours.
Well, it's winter here and it's cold. And how does the playing cards, like the traditional playing cards, because that's sort of it's not tarot light, but that's, I guess, because it's used in illusion. And from what you were saying, how the tarot back then there wasn't so much manipulation where like the energies would come out through the cards. I'm just thinking in Vegas now, are we getting tarot readings every time we play poker and stuff like that?
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's really it really has a lot to do with the numerology and law of averages and things like that. It's it's using the very right-brained construct side of the bicycle deck, if you will. And I believe like some of the ways that the card trick magician masters his craft is partially playing on that law of averages and knowing how to handle the deck in a certain way where it looks like a normal shuffle, but it's incredibly deliberate, as opposed to what I am going to do for you today, which has no agenda behind it. I have no interest in fabricating a story. I mean, it's all happening through the mystery of the card that's going to have a particular, meaning to you that gets interpreted through us. And that's a completely different experience than me saying, well, I think I'm going to grab this card and it's going to be the Ace of Wands. And that was not the Ace of Wands, by the way.
It's you're not that predictive side of things, which that's not how it works. Right. It's a reading, not a creation. You're not. It's not a. You're reading, not a writing. That's the way better saying.
And exactly. And so the tarot as it's crafted today with the understanding of the numerical, alchemical, and other esoteric principles that are baked into everything that has spawned out of the French, the Visconti, and the Rider-Waite Smith, and in the turn of the century, Crowley's Thoth deck to a certain degree has kind of built the basic branches of history in which people have developed their natural intuitive interpretation of what the cards are saying. Because if you don't know enough about how all of the elements of the system works, you put 3 cards in a row and they could be wildly thematically different from each other in every way that they appear and are ordered, that you wouldn't be able to make sense of it unless you made an occult background study of it. And I've not been doing this for very long, but I have been for a long time been working on tapping into my intuitive side, and it didn't take much intellectual bridging for me to eventually kind of become the natural that I am with the cards, in a way that 2 years ago I looked at the cards and I said, like, man, how long is it would take me if I picked up this craft? And then after a while I said, oh, man, I've gotten pretty second nature about this, right? So it's all pretty good. I barely need to look into too much more of it right now, because at a certain point with all of that, because I do the runes too, which are much more ancient, much more abstract, and and that requires the same amount of work, but also it's a little more deeply personal. It's got a much more strongly spiritual connection.
Yes.
This one, because the runes are specifically working with energies. This is mental. The tarot deck's very mental. The runes are very energetic.
Yeah, it could be the wrong way of saying, but in simple form, when you have a tarot reading, tarot, it's like a computer program. You've got this card, or even just a mathematical equation. It's like this card, this card, this card. You know what they mean. You add it all together, and then you get the outcome.
Yeah, that's in there. But like, if you're not an intuitive, if you haven't been working on your intuitive side and picking up on the nuances of
I said simple,
right? Because I will say stuff that is just like it's about listening to that voice in your head that is resonating with what pops up with the card.
Yep. Yeah.
And with the rune that puts together the actual mystery, because then something that really isn't inherent to the card but is related to the card, I end up saying just from an intuitive place, and then the person on the other side of it, you'll see their eyes flare up, and it's like, okay, that's a sign I've hit the mark.
Yeah. So I did say it was a simple version of it, so it's much more. Now with the runes, how does that affect? How does that interact with the tarot? Now, of course, runes. This goes back to our last show with the it's free. Look out, children. Talking about the dragon there. Going back into our last show with the Norse, like most people think Norse Vikings, so it's what 800 to 1,000 years ago.
Right.
But it's so much more longer, because we know that the timeline's being fiddled with, and history is the same level of journalism today, where like, hey, yeah, whatever.
Right.
So the runes come from an ancient place in the timeline, and it's a form of alphabet. And it's obviously pre the English alphabet, which is very close to the Roman alphabet, strangely enough. Someone shared not a meme, but a picture on, I think it was Twitter, social media, and it had like the Phoenicians and the Roman and the English, and how everything, like, I think I was I and J and all this. The Roman alphabet, I think, was 23 or something. It was like 3 difference or something, and a letter was lost as well. If I find it, I'll message it to you.
Yeah. For sure.
So when you've got the tarot readings where a card means something, you've got the intuition as well, obviously, and then you've got the cards where there are books that explain what the card means, and through experience, you obviously can have the nuance, and it's a unique reading in the moment of now and everything like that. With the runes, which is tapping into the energies, which we had a pre-production meeting, ladies and gentlemen, and it's a good time to bring that in now with what's happening astrologically as well as the human resonance. And we just had a full moon when at the recording, and it's between the full moon and the Lion's Gate. But from an astrology point of view, like, I didn't go outside because it's cold here in Melbourne. It's like, I'm not going out there, it's cold, I'll look at the photos. But there was like a procession of planets where you could see, I think, Mars, Saturn, Jupiter, and the moon as well, and it was they're all lining up. So just quickly, we're in very interesting energy times, because 2020, yay. But explain what you were saying. I forgot what you said. That's why I record these things. With the Aquarius and the thing. Just go ahead.
I'm gonna do a basic astrological explanation of just like kind of like the moment, and so there's been kind of this rage that's kind of been going on around with a lot of people, and there's a very good reason for that. Right now, Mars.
If I may interject very quickly, what Steve is going to say is now. I'll back that up with, we've had 5 months of 2020, and so you've already had that energy pressure as well.
Oh yeah.
And on top of this is where Steve comes in. So we've had all the 2020. It's like interesting. I wouldn't. Nice place to visit, but I wouldn't want to live here. And now you have what you're about to explain, which amplified, or I'm just waiting for that pressure release. Go ahead.
Exactly, right? Because the people that are interested in fear, domination, and control, they have their astrologers. They exploited seasonal changes as an excuse to perform all sorts of rituals during the winter solstice, because people didn't realize that there was an inherent built-in cycle to the returning of the spring, to the returning of the sun. So they made people believe that you had to do certain things in society and make certain sacrifices in society every single year to get things to come back, and eventually that cycle was broken through various forms of reason and enlightenment, and changed the definition of what these people were doing, right? So, astrologers, it's just like, they'll tell you now, if you really want to get the people mad, so somebody can cause an incident, like, here's the way you want to manipulate somebody to anger, right? Because you want to look at something specifically like what Mars is doing. Mars is dignified in its home outward expression, right? Because each planet has two signs except for the sun and the moon. So Mars is in Aries right now, and then Mars will also, it'll be dignified in its inward expression. I think dignified is not quite the right word for it. Astrology is not my number one thing here at all. Yeah.
Well, right? Mars is they say it's the war planet, but is it more of a warrior? Because a warrior most likely has honor. So you see what I'm trying to say there? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Mars is Mars. Every single planet can have a cult put its influence on it, right? A great deal of everything that we've been living under has been a certain corruption of Saturn, for instance, right?
Yes.
And it's like all the planets have these corrupted whatevers. Martian energy, by the end of the age of Aries, when Christianity was coming in, was in this abysmal state of going overboard with all forms of violence and debauchery and a certain kind of do as thou wilt before Crowley invented it, and then the Piscean age had to come in because of how bad things could have gone if they kept going at the breakdown of such a civilization, right? So Mars has a bad side and a good side, and it depends on how the people that understand the energies of the luminaries and work with those energies do such a thing. Because like right now, Saturn is corrupted. It's the black cube cult of, it's all associated with fear, domination, and control, doing it specifically through the way that we handle time, space, scheduling, money, so on and so forth. And Mars had its similar troubles, and can still have that similar troubles. I'm an Aries, natal Aries in Western astrology. Hitler was an Aries, like me, but then also other really great people out there are Aries. There's more great people that are Aries than not great people. I'm not just saying that because Aries is an ego.
I'm a Pisces.
Sometimes more so than a Leo. Aries can be a Leo. And so Mars is in Aries, chilling out in its home fire sign, heating up, and it's squaring, which like oppositions is a conflicting position to Pluto, Jupiter, and Saturn that are all hanging out in the cusp of Capricorn Aquarius.
Now, squaring, because one thing I find interesting in my chart is that I was born on a Friday, Frida, but it was the morning of a full moon. So my sun and moon are in opposition, which in the English language, they're opposite each other from the Earth. Now, with a square, is that like it's an L shape? I'm just trying to break it down for my nephew.
Yeah, sure. Here, I'll make it easy. Hold on a second.
Because it's squaring, and then because opposition is very easy to figure out. It's just
it just means literally it's literal. It's opposite. It's the opposite of where it is. So here, I'll make it real easy. I'm going to screen share. Okay.
It should work.
Yep. All right. Where are we at? Boom. Start sharing. Okay. So can you see Zoinks?
It's black at the moment.
Black at the moment. There we go.
There we go.
All right.
So it's an L shape. Yeah.
Yep. So it's somewhere within the range of a 90-degree angle.
Yep. Okay.
That's how you know it, right? So here it is down here in the bottom left-hand side of this particular chart, and then up here in Capricorn is this big traffic jam with all these 3 planets, which happen to be retrograde.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up because see, it's a defense basically. If anyone, I don't believe in astrology. Well, just use it as a time machine. Where the last time Pluto was in Capricorn, you had the French Revolution and the American Revolution, and you know what I mean. You can look down the timeline and see how the pattern recognition.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're trying to do this in the sense of these quote unquote epochs and whatever, you want to look at the outer planets, where that's really handling things on a broader collective level, on a more unconscious level, because the things that as above, so below. So if you look in the night sky and you can't see with your naked eye Pluto, that is how you know that Pluto is considered to be this outer planet, and it rules things that are more collective, more beyond your perception, right? And so those are things that handle the most major cycles that affect everybody, as opposed to the other 5 planets, which are personal, more influentially personal than they necessarily are on a whole society, right? And so,
looking at this circle, it on a basic level, it's a perfect. It just shows duality if you look at it, because look at the say from 10 o'clock to 4 o'clock. Look at all that space. That's where the aliens are hiding, everybody. It's like it's completely clear, and then you've got all this heaviness, and it's I could be completely wrong, but as a symbol, it's like, well, there's your duality there, people.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean by that, because most of this particular side of the chart over here is clear. There's no planets happening between Sagittarius and Virgo. And theoretically, most of these planets in Capricorn are technically in Aquarius. The retrograde motion has kind of thrown them back into Capricorn, right? So, and this is because this right here is indicative of major energies switching into Aquarius energies that rarely go Aquarius, like Pluto, which is eventually going to get there. So like right now, Pluto is still pretty firm in Capricorn because of how slow it's going to go anyway. So that is still working on ending the old Capricornian cycles, which is the earthen element or the inner reflective elements of Saturn. Right. And so these are things where all of this deocculting of this cult of Saturn, cult of the black cube, is popping up, so on and so forth. And so the squaring is showing that there's a certain kind of tension. It's not like it's not an opposition where they're directly at odds, but they are they're wrestling with each other to a certain degree. But it's also, if you look at the blue line, that's trining the sun in Leo. And so Aries and Leo are kind of like working towards each other. Trines have a beneficial, trines and conjunctions versus squares and oppositions. And that's where you get your tension and release in astrology.
Okay, which is basic human life. Everything, even a joke, it's built up a tension and a release. So can you imagine the release after the tension of 2020? Woo.
Right. Exactly. And just to let you know, like if you look down here, there's one thing that's not noted in this chart, because I guess I have the setting turned off for it or something like that. That's the north node. And so the south node would count as just up here. So there would be the south node in Sagittarius over here, which means that the south node is, which means that Sagittarian energies of karma are what's in play in the chart at the moment.
Yeah, it looks like it's bringing up the rear from that traffic jam you said. which I find, in fact, it's like, after all that, then the South Node going, yep, just collecting the garbage. Here we go. Put that rubbish away.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it was interesting when other planets were hanging out near it, because I think it was earlier during the pandemic that Mars was passing through that traffic jam.
Yeah, so I've seen a lot of fascinating is the pictures that people have captured of the planets, and I'm not going into the debate. Are the planets real? Blah blah blah. People got cameras, and if you got a good camera and you don't have light pollution, I think it's a 930 something or whatever, but they got a blurry shot of Saturn, and that's intense in a good way, because 400 years ago, if you're allowed to have a telescope, only a certain amount of 5 people on the planet would know that they're. And that's the other thing, a different show completely, how the Mayans knew all this, and all these ancient civilizations knew they could see them better because there was no light pollution from the cities. But then to sort of like go, you know what? That looks like a hunter, and that looks like a dog, and that looks like the Mayan calendar is fascinating, where it's all based on is it 20 and 13, which is joints and body and all this type of stuff. It's like they use the human form as a calculator. So
right.
And they apparently they invented it halfway through their calendar, and it's like, oh, they're all just dumbed down savages, except for the calendar, which somehow keeps getting proven. Like, oh, on this day this will happen, and then it did. Oh, all right, and then this, and then so.
And as it seems to be understood that 2020 is what 2012 was supposed to be, and this time we can actually say that.
Yeah. On my
you're pretending that the pandemic is totally real, and that life is totally going to get back to normal after this. Totally in August. Totally.
Yeah. September the 1st. Everything's fine, everybody. September 11th. It's a true flag, not a false flag. I don't like the term pandemic because, well, we've only had 200 people die, which is unfortunate, but it could be their karmic resolution. I just use lockdown now because it's like that's what's happening. Because you look up the definition of pandemic, even like I know it's 130,000 have died in the United States.
Yeah.
But out of 330 million, that's not even a drop in a bucket type thing. I mean, of course, when you mention stuff like that, people think you're being callous. It's like, well, no, I don't think anyone should die. Kind of wacky. But
it's because the problem is that they don't want to think about the fact that if you actually compare this to any other year, it wasn't special, and yet because you insisted that SARS-CoV-2 is special, that it's special. And why is it special? Yeah. Because somebody said Chinese biolab, and that's the only reason why you think it's special, is because somebody said Chinese biolab somewhere, and that's it. That's all you need to know, is that there's a Chinese biolab involved. So yes, this is the Chinese biolab made a BB gun because it's got a 1% mortality rate, basically. So no, I mean, like, it's the lock, because like the virus isn't the issue. It's your fear begging the government to inconvenience everyone else for something that you would have done anyway, which was stay in your home.
Yeah, it's the response.
Let me get sick and die on my own damn terms. Thank you.
Yeah. Free will, buddy. I'll die when I want to. Yeah. It's
I don't bother.
It's the response.
It's just like, bro, I'm willing to take that risk. It's not your responsibility, right? That's it. Because you can't argue with anything. Like what they can't argue with you is your inner life, right?
Yeah.
And if your inner life is bulletproof to this shit, that's the only reason. Because what's the mask about? The mask is not about your health. It's about their health, because they convinced you that you need to wear the mask to protect them.
Yeah, yeah. I've seen people actually use the analogy for masks and guns, and you know that NPC meme, yeah. And also the vaxxers as well. It's like you should wear a mask. It's like, why doesn't yours work? Oh, that sounds like a vaccine. But yeah, we'll come to that later. I'm sure. It's like for me, the whole thing we're in stage 4. You know, even before stage 4 kicked in, they started talking about stage 5, and I don't sense that the Victorian government are being told orders that we need to go totalitarian New World Order lockdown. But the thing is, all the evidence could be circumstantial, but we're heading that way anyway. It's like some of you people are creating this shit, like they're trying to kill humanity. It's depopulation. Well, in this moment of now, and it's basic physics. What you put out will come back to you, and so you're creating this reality in that respect. Now, I'm not saying you should ignore it, but that's where I'm at. I'm giving the government 6 months. No, 6 weeks. Sorry, 6 months? No, let's not be silly. 6 weeks. And it's like Emperor Palpatine. When the war's over, you rescind your powers. And then he jumps across his desk with a lightsaber and cuts me down. Yeah. You know what I mean, though? It's like, if the numbers drop and blah, blah, blah. But however, it just points out, like, why now? And I think they, with bunny ears, it's their last. I think in sports ball in America, it's a Hail Mary. You throw on the 10-second, just before the end of the game type thing. That's sort of what I'm saying is they've pushed for it because I mean there's so many things of bats and labs and everything else like that. Oh, it's a bioweapon. It should have come out this October. I think that the Prime creator's just gone, bink, try it now, bitches. And it came out too early. And all their infrastructure, and that's why they panicked. And it is the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. They're panicking, but also it's like don't relish too much in the old enemy losing power, because right now we have to worry about the new enemy that we're handing the power to.
Oh, power vacuum. Yeah.
You're watching like the bankers get deposed. You're watching the church, the mega church, the state stylized churching get deposed, and those kinds of systems, and maybe even the police state, so to speak, or at least as we used to know it. But now what's coming in now you've got now you want medical, the medical universe and technologies universe wants to come in and control all that stuff, and that's why Bill Gates is being promoted, because he's supposed to be one of those guys that takes us into the dark side of Aquarius. Just the way we've been in the dark side of the Capricornian energies through this age of Pisces that we were experiencing. This is taking all of that and is trying to set up that next particular thing. It's all really difficult stuff, because that's the thing about the Ragnarok, is that they got a god that protects Asgard and protects the 9 realms or whatever. And the only thing that he can't see is the Ragnarok. Anything but because the Ragnarok is triggered from a place deep in the unconscious, and the deepest places of the unconscious are beyond Heimdall, that god who it is his role to do this thing. It is beyond his sight.
It's very duality fracturing, smashing, because it's not black and white. It's not the old way of like, hey, there is the enemy and we must fight the enemy. And I remember talking to Andrew Bartzis on one of his shows where I mentioned like black hats, and he said, yeah, but what about the red hats, the orange hats, and the green hats? It's just not one. It's the simplistic version of Christianity, where it's like there's God and then there's the devil or Satan. He's got many names, blah 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 blah, and yet it's more of an energy. And when you've got see, if you're on like the top tier of darkness, and we're seeing the third tier down. oh, the bankers have to go. You know, they're sacrificing their minions. So then it's like, oh, there's a hole now, so we'll put in our own guy again. And I think that's the challenge. It's not a problem. It's a challenge to see how this will manifest, because certain people are still trying to have control. They're changing the game and changing their positions in the game, or even change the game completely, but they still want to be in control of it. I not freak people out, but I make people's heads sort of explode when I say, sure, let's take down Trump because he'll take down everybody else. And that's out of their paradigm, because they think Trump's the enemy, and they ignore all the chicanery of the Democrats. Like, it's like the latest interview with Trump, where I can't be asked spending 40 minutes watching it. Trump's Trump. That's whatever. But it's like, look, he's terrible. He can't string a sentence together, blah, blah, blah. Oh, cool. Now do Biden. Like, no response, because right.
Well,
he's still better than Biden. He's still better than Hillary. And people say, don't you wish Obama was back? No, because he I've got a good joke for you as well. He actually sucks as a president. Someone on Twitter, very quickly, had a photo of Bill Clinton, George Bush Jr., and Barack Obama, and how it's like, name this band. And I think it was Mirth. He won the internet, where he said 2.5 white men. That's what people forget about. Not you, but Obama. It's like, oh, he's the first black president with a white mother. Yeah, you know what you're talking about.
Right, exactly.
So anyway.
And also of his African side is of immigrant descent. Not of indentured servitude descent, where his own family sold him to the Dutch or something, and then brought him over. It's just like, yeah. You kind of forget the part where they sold them to us. They sold their own.
Yeah. Let's not go into that, where it's like, the white man's bad. Well, how did these white men get the slaves? Oh, they were sold to by black men. Oh, really? Do go on.
They have these really nice golden scarves that Democrats will remind you about.
Yeah, like what was it, the State of the Union address this year and probably last year? All the Democrats wear white, and it's like, well, you forgot your hoods. Like, it's like, I think someone mentioned that, but it came to me. It's like, well, if they started the KKK and they're all wearing white, I'm like, really? Is it after Labor Day? You're not supposed to do that, apparently. And then there's other people saying, like, if Antifa isn't a terrorist organization, why aren't the KKK, or stuff like, or if you hate Black Lives Matter so much, I wish you hated the Ku Klux Klan the same. It's like, well, you are basically, I like Sean David Morton's version. Black Lives Matter, it's the Klan with a tan. It's the same level. Because I thought it would be about police corruption. Anyway, so I think that brings us to the point of having a general reading, or a private reading, or a major reading, captain reading. No. Another joke that I can share with you as well. Someone put up, no one can beat Captain America from the Marvel Universe. Say, name anyone that could beat Captain America. Go on, I'll wait. And someone, Captain America. So someone put up Captain Vietnam. Oh, sorry, I'm talking to an American. We don't talk about Vietnam. Great place to visit. So with the reading, do you need an intent from me, or?
Not necessarily. No. It can just be a message that you need to hear. I mean, like if you want something, if you happen to actually have a question or whatever, look, we can just roll with this. I didn't quite get a chance to talk about the runes going in. You want me to talk about the runes after I do the reading with you?
No, I think now, well, yeah, do it now, where because the cards, most people know tarot cards, you shuffle the deck and you lay out a certain amount of number of cards in a fashion to get the reading.
Right.
Do you do the runes after you've set out the cards? Like how?
I lay down the card and then I grab the rune and I put
it's one by one.
And so it's telling me that this runic energy is in play with this mental capacity that is expressing itself through the card. So that's what happens. That's what happens there. And sometimes it's very interesting synchronicities. Like I could get the Justice card, and then I get like the Tiwaj rune, which the Tiwaj rune is representative of the god Tyr, and he's a god of justice. He's also a Jupiter god, one of the aspects of Jupiter in that respect. Right.
Quick
so
question.
when something like that happens, they match up real nicely.
Yeah. How many runes do you use? Like
I'm with the original Elder Futhark, 24 runes, no blank rune, or the wild rune, or the weird rune. As they say, I don't use that. Just like I don't use the unknown card in tarot. So there's the 24, and the 24 I think is an important number. 24 happens to be 3 octaves, and the runes are they're letters, the pronunciation, like I meditate. People meditate to the toning of the runes, and so so if I need to inspire my energies for the resources I need, because I got to pay the bills or something like that, the energy of Fehu, the very first rune, is going to come to mind, right? And that rune, when it pops up, has something to do with the idea of your base resources. With these 3 8s, that's where things get interesting, because just like the tarot takes you through a story, the runes actually take you through a story also, and it's very similar to that hero's journey of Joseph Campbell that you do precisely get with the major arcana. And there's there's 20 there's 21 22 with the Fool major arcana, and then there's the 24 Elder Futhark. So there's a close relationship in the value of the transfer from one rune to the other. So you go through the 24. The first 8 handles physical manifestation, things in the physical real world that you have to care about. Resources I mentioned with Fehu. Then you have Uruj, which is about health and strength and power. Thorisaj, that is the rune of boundaries and protection. There's a healthy side to social distancing, and Thorisaj has a place in the healthy side of social distancing, right? So that's whenever you see social distancing, the Thorisaj rune is a very appropriate one, because it's about boundaries and it's about protection. So there's something for you right there. Then it moves into Ansuj. Ansuj is the rune of it's kind of like, it's not knowledge, because knowledge comes 2 runes later, but it's information, if you will. It's like you're getting a message, right? You're getting you don't necessarily understand the message, but this is just like the idea that you go through those first 3 runes, you've kind of found your security, kind of like your lower 3 chakras. When you get that Thorisaj, you've kind of got your solar plexus kind of in a solid spot, right? So then you get so now, with all of the stress of survival taken off of your lower chakras, and your lower self is starting to pan out, now you're looking at things that your mind can work on. So you get Ansuj, and then it moves into Raido. Raido is about taking this information that you've gotten and working with it. You're either taking it to somewhere. That's the most deliberate meaning of Raido, about journeys, traveling on a horse, or ritual. It's part of where ritual comes from, and taking a ride, and radio and things like that is all Raido. And then Kenaj, which is about knowledge and ability, enlightenment. Okay, it's a rune of enlightenment. Then Gebo, which is one of my personal favorites. It's the X. It represents balance. So you're when you're doing commerce, or you're working with your family or your colleagues or whatever, you are putting in a certain amount of work, and you're getting back the proper agreed value, acceptable natural value for the work that you put in. And then Wunjo is the satisfaction that comes from that good work, that completed process that handles all the material realm stuff. Then it moves into the psychological realm in the next 8, which this middle process in the journey is where you break down. This is where you start. This is where you go and you're making those dark night of the soul experiences. Sometimes it can be positive. Sometimes it can be rough, but things get pretty heavy in the second 8. Hagalaj off the bat, it represents hailstorms. It's about, but it ultimately symbolizes healing. It's about healing. It's about going through a wash, if you will, and the weak and the impure not surviving the process, which puts you into situations where you have to get inventive. It brings us to Nauthij, which is about what is necessary and what is not necessary. That's Nauthij. And it represents invention as well, because it's supposed to be 2 sticks rubbing together to create fire.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Isa, which is like the icicle. This is the pillar. This is about your true core essence. It's breaking down to your identity, to your individuation process. It's a very ego-related rune. Then Yera, which is where we get year or gear, is the rune about cooperation over time, about how things relate to each other when given time to operate with each other. Then we move into where things get really heavy, which is the Uwaj rune. The Uwaj rune is the death and rebirth rune, kind of like we were talking about Pluto. Pluto energy is very Uwaj. It's very Phoenix. It's the fire wheel. There is an association to the Philfot / swastika to this particular rune. It's got, it looks like half a swastika, where it's got just the top and the bottom like that. It doesn't have the sides. Yeah. That's the Uwaj. Then it moves into Pertho. Pertho is the lock cup, and so this is after you've gone through this cycle of the destruction of the old you. What is popping up and now is it's kind of like the destiny or the dharma or the orlog, original law, that is to head out before you. Then it moves into Algiz. Algiz is it is the peace sign upside down, which the peace sign upside down is actually the Algiz rune upside down. And it's shamanic power and psychic projection, where Thorisaj is physical protection, Algiz is metaphysical protection. That is the rune that I use whenever I feel like I'm under a certain kind of social psychological kind of based attacks, peer pressure, things like that. The Algiz rune can give you a lot of internal strength from that, because like when you go through this process with acceptance, that rune its energy is meant to be that direct energy, and it's kind of part of that ascension process. You're unlocking some of your superpowers, and that rune will be directly connected to any of your metaphysical talents.
Permission slips. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. It's you've earned you've gone through Hell Week, and now you're a Marine or a SEAL.
Yeah.
And then Saul, the soul, Soilo. That is that represents like it represents the sun, but to me I always see it as it represents like the rays of the sun, but not the sun itself. There's another rune in the last 8, and this is the end of the second 8 with Saul. So that's your soul, and so things associated with your soul desires pop up with that, and those things are going to be directly attributed to manifesting because of what's going on with Algiz. So then you move into Tiwaj, and now we've moved from that psychological realm where now you've cleared all of the old way that used to think, and now there's a whole new principle of higher ideas that are coming through. This is more spiritual. This is way up in the ether. You got the Tiwaj rune, Tyr, like I mentioned. So truth, justice, the right path, the North Star, true north, right? That's what Tiwaj represents. Bereshkana. Bereshkana is fertility. It is Fehu and Uruz are kind of like about fertility as well, but Bereshkana, which is the birch tree, it looks like a letter B, and it looks like a woman in profile is the idea. So this is about being pregnant, being prepared to conceive. You've got something that is developing, and then we move into Awaj. Awaj is interpersonal relationships. It's deep empathic kind of relationships. Awaj is where we get Equaz, which is the horse. And if you've ever worked with horses, Andrew and his colleagues, they know about this as well. Is like horses are incredibly empathic. When you ride a horse, you're not telling the horse what to do. There's a cooperation, and they're picking up on where they know you want to go, and you build bond with them. That's the same kind of energy. The Norse were big on their horses. Odin with Sleipnir, of course.
Yeah.
Then
there's you see a lot of people with they go riding, and it's a horse that gets ridden by a lot of people. And it's like, Henry over there just wanders off by himself because the connection's gone or whatever it is like that. And you can see where I know it's an obscure reference, but one of my favorite parts of The Witcher is the horse. Where Henry Cavill's character is just like, I think the horse is still alive. To me, he's one of the best characters because he's just like real. You want that sort of like Alfred in Batman, where there's a tinge of okay, we'll go this way, but you're a dick. I like that connection.
Exactly. And don't get me started on Neverending Story and the horse scene, one of the saddest effing scenes ever put to celluloid.
Well, don't bring it up then. All right. So okay. We're near the end of the third octave, aren't we?
Yes. Manaj is next, and that is the mind. It represents it represents like the big mind, right? Like you got like Kanaj, right? This is more of kind of like the concept of knowledge and enlightenment or whatever. But this is like the mind as a whole, often in the sense of when minds come together, like you and me. There's a lot of mirror effects in the way the runes are, and the Wunjo rune, which I mentioned, which is the last rune in the first 8, right? It looks like a flag, it's a straight line, and then it's got like a triangle up top. Well, you put the two together like that, it looks like the letter M. Awaj looks directly like a letter M, but it's really kind of like they took an E and put it on its side, and that's how you got Awaj. Manaj looks like an M, but it's got the two triangles on the top, and it looks like Wunjo in the mirror. And so it's, you can look at it as two people whose work has come together to satisfaction in a meeting of the minds. So that's an element of Manaj. Then Laguj, which looks like two Awajes reflecting each other. This is about deep energies, just deep energies, emotional energies usually. But this is that deep, fiery kind of thing that you pull out of your willpower and things like that. Aspects of the unconscious are associated with it, so on and so forth. The abyss, if you will. And so Laguj is about those deep energies within you. Ingwaj is if Bershkana is something developing like a baby, then the actual energy that is causing that development is Ingwaj. It represents like the fire of a stove, if you will, or an oven, that kind of thing, right? And you know, you got a bun in the oven, they say, with pregnant women, right? So that's Ingwaj. Then we have Degaj. Degaj is that other sun rune that I was talking about. So this is like the full radiance of like the midday sun is kind of like what Degaj represents. So that's and so that for you, it's like it's your highest excitement. It's your fulfillment. It's like soul desire, except it's heavily projected because of how much confidence and power and development that you've gone through up to this point. And then Othala is the home front. It looks like Ingwaj, except it's just got the two legs on the bottom and not on the top of the little diamond in the middle. And so that's the home front, or grounded energy, you know, but bringing things to a place of sanctuary in a certain sense. Similar to what Thorisage brings you, which is a certain sense of sanctuary, because you're making your space. And then that brings you through this 3-part developmental system. It's in concordance with the tripartite soul that is believed in by most of the animist cultures.
All right, cool.
Yeah. So that's the runes.
Well, all right. Well, let's see what pops up then. So,
all right, shall we now? Let's do this. So, each one of my readings on top of the tarot and the rune, I also use an animal spirit deck called the Secret Language of Animals by, I think it's Chip Tatum is the name. Uses really great artwork on it using endangered species, and incorporates the 5 elements, and basically each reading gets like an animal spirit guide. So
awesome.
Your animal spirit for this energy signature of time of the here and now is, I've not drawn this one yet, the Lotus Blue Butterfly.
Oh, that's nice. Just hey. Okay. Okay. So I'm reborn as a butterfly out of a caterpillar. Nice.
There you go.
And it's Lotus Blue as well. Yeah.
Can you hear the silence of the lambs, Clarice? I'm kidding.
No, but I've just beaten my wings, and New Jersey's going to have a cyclone.
Yeah, right? I believe this is an air elemental. I got to double check with the book. This is the only thing I ever need the book for. Is I don't the element of all the animals in the deck yet. Transformation, becoming, lightness, and beauty. So this is the guiding spirit for whatever is going on with you. Just want to confirm.
Well, actually, someone on Facebook, I can't remember what, I think it was in a group, but you know how you get a GIF where it cycles through pictures, and you click on the mouse and it stops. It was a tarot card. Yeah, it was a tarot card one, and I got the world, and it's like, oh, that's awesome. Better look that up now. And it's basically satisfaction, or I'm doing well in career, or something like that. So it made sense at the time. That was only yesterday or the day before.
Okay. So it's actually fire spirit. This butterfly.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because that can lead to, or lend itself of the phoenix of, you know, you're born out of fire, or you rise out of the fire, and even just transformation.
The way that, you know, in a sense, a butterfly or a moth, the way they float in the air could be very similar to like an ember.
Yeah.
Spinning off of a fire. Yeah. So I'm gonna be using my my Wildwood tarot deck. It's my personal favorite. It's also very pagan, and so it fits with this whole conversation, this whole theme. And I consider it the deck that is my go-to when doing a reading for a guy as well. All right, so how much time do we want to give this? Do you want to get a big spread or a small spread?
I don't have any references of how long you mean. So, like,
I think I can plow through this in about I don't know, maybe 30 minutes, because normally my big ones go like about an hour. We've been talking for a hot minute, and I respect your time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll just half an hour, I think. Yeah, because it'll be a reading for myself. However, I'm also representing humanity at this point in time. So there's that balance, if that makes sense.
There's that. Okay, that'll work just fine. So what I'll do is I'm going to work within the context of the one of the 3 spreads that I do is called the 9 World Rune reading, Rune and Tarot reading. It's a derivative of a reading development from one of the guys. I took his rune books and worked my personal interpretation of the rune off of his lessons of Thunder Wizard, Michael William Denny. So his books is where a lot of my knowledge comes from. So I'm giving him that shout out, even though we don't really know each other.
Oh, no, it's not wrong.
So this is basically cosmic tic-tac-toe, and we start in the center square, which represents manifest reality, the here and the now.
I'm just wondering. I'm just thinking, just like entertainment wise / helping a friend. Have you thought of getting like not a lipstick camera, but a camera, like have a setup where a camera looks down on the cards, and so that people can see like a green felt? Maybe I'm just getting a bit arty, but
you know what? I have to look into the logistics of making that work. I'm not sure if my programs do that stuff. Everything is so badly basic,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Don't get me wrong. It could take 6 months, but
I was definitely gonna snap a picture for you.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, like, I think maybe I've downloaded OBS, but I haven't looked at it. And so I'm sure there'll be a way of actually doing something. Don't try it now, but I think that that would be, if there's a way of like splitting the screen and then you show the cards as you do the reading. But anyway, yeah.
I have to figure that out, because I've only got 2 cameras. I've got my webcam and I've got my cell phone.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you find the right camera. Where when I say lipstick, it's just something that's upside. You'll figure it out. That's the thing, because the lady that I talked about earlier, she just did it from the camera was far away enough to see the table she was working at as well, but you got a lot of room, sort of echo bouncy type stuff. Not badly, but and so you could see. But she would hold up to the screen, obviously, but you could still see just the tabletop. But yeah, I'm just sharing my the wonders of the entertainment industry. So yeah, you're awesome anyway. Continue on.
Thank you. I'm working on building things better.
Yeah, you'll figure out what's right for you. Because even if you, I'm sure, depending on how you taking the photo and putting it up as a, you know what you're doing. I'm just having an idea.
Yeah, no, thank you. I do need to improve that, because I don't like that, but I just kind of sit there and like I get so overwhelmed. It's just like plan A was to be a musician, but now I can't be the musician I want to be because social distancing keeps the clubs opened, and as far as I know, they're never opening again because we're living in the dark ages now. It's all that nonsense.
You're human. You'll adapt. That's my favorite thing for 2020. Oh, even like I may upset. I don't want to wear the mask. You're human. Adapt. But yeah, I know. No, I'm not poking the bear. I said that last night. It's like talking about Russia or something like that. You don't go up and poke the bear. Oh, Russia. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Right. So the first card that pops up, our center place, which is the here and the now, we have the mirror. This is major arcana. This is the equivalent of the Hanged Man in effect, right?
Not the happy squirrel.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've been trying not to use that joke all interview. Thank you, Simpsons. So, very very quickly. Sorry to interrupt. That's right way up. Now reversed is when it's upside down, isn't it?
Correct. Yes.
Is that just a major difference between up and down?
Yeah. Okay. let's talk about that, because we may get a number of them upside down too.
That begs the question: how do you shuffle? Because obviously, to have it reversed, you don't throw them all up in the air.
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, for me, I just don't think about it, and then I'm just kind of moving it, and then once in a while, I'll grab a chunk of it, and flip it. It's pretty fluid. And what I don't do, a lot of people do it, and it irks me, because it's just like, like tarot cards can be printed in very good quality. It's like they'll do the whole, and I'm just you're getting those nice cards.
This is not Vegas where you replace a pack after 3 go. Yeah,
like Magic the Gathering, where I don't like seeing that either, especially because some of those cards are or used to be worth things, So the mirror, right? So in effect, right now, people are kind of like, they're kind of having that change of perspective. Or you are, right? Like there's the whole world of the wafer thin entertainment that's listening to you, or whatever, everyone that this is meant for. So this is that, here and now in Midgard, in the manifest reality, you're looking in the mirror, you're reflecting, you're seeing the reverse of things, so on and so forth. The energy that is associated with this reflection is Thorisage. This is the Thorisage rune that I talked about. It's got it's a line with a little triangle.
Okay, because the way that the wood or the stone, it looks like an A, but that's just the coloration of the actual tablet. The rune itself is just a line with a pyramid. So it's a pyramid standing up.
I made these myself. I dremeled out a branch of Hollywood, and then I use a solder to burn in the rune. So these are entirely my own energies and craft went into it. So these are my runes, heart and soul. Cool. So boundaries and protection involved with that mirror. So I mean that could be pretty darn obvious as to once again the themes of all of the social distancing that we're dealing with, where everybody is highly cognizant of their spatial relationship to everyone, and how much of that PPE they're wearing, masks and goggles and gloves and butt plugs and
plastic armor looking like knights and
Yep. So then we move into the north. When I do the screen share, that kills the camera, right? On my
your camera, we don't have one or the other. So.
Gotcha. I just want to flash this real quick for people. All right, can we see?
Yes. Well, I can.
This, all right. This is something that I always use as my guide, and the major symbol that all this information is spread around is called an Aegis Yelmer. And the Aegis Yelmer, each one of these points is an Algi's rune, and this represents the Norse circle of the magician, the protective circle. All right, and also each one of these represents a realm in Norse mythology, and each one of these realms is associated to an aspect of human psychology, the unconscious, the higher conscious, super consciousness, so on and so forth. Right. Okay. So we were in Midgard, which is earth, the earth element. The heart chakra is also associated with this center point. Right. So this also gives you that additional information that that your heart space is being held with this reflective mind and this energy of boundaries and protection. So I'll bring this back up periodically. But let me go through a few of these first, so we're not going too slow. So up in the north, we go, and we're going to go clockwise around that wheel, is this is in the intuitive realm, the imagination realm. This is Niflheim, as it's called. The Four of Stones reversed, which ironically is about protection. So I'm gonna run that up right. Just gonna to you.
It is a fawn. Hello, Bambi.
Yep. So it's a fawn underneath standing stones.
Yep.
That are acting as a as a little bit of a tent, almost as a protective cover.
Shelter. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. And I really like the 4 of stones in this deck, because in the Rider Waite deck, the 4 of pentacles, which that would be, it shows that guy who looks kind of like he's like a stingy little king, and he's holding like this pentacle like this, and he's acting all like insecure about it. And you know, it kind of, you know, so it's a place where there's like a negative connotation on the 4 of Pentacles, which is understandable in certain context, but not always necessary. So this is reversed, right? So the imagination going on with people, you know, the things where they're trying to do the guesswork of everything new and up and coming at this state of time is unprotected. There's a certain sense of insecurity there.
Yes, yeah, I could attest it. Well, you know, trying to like my show, we sort of like game it out and see how it plays, and I've started basically saying every show, well, we don't know. I can't really see. Like I'd be able to see further down the timeline and get a hint of energy or anything else like that. So like I would go from equinox to solstice or something like that. I can't even see into next week energetically. And I've stopped trying, because it's like, well, you know, this timeline could happen, and then half the warehouse ports in Beirut blows up, and it changes everything, because everything's so much in flux. For me, in a way, it's a small lesson of staying in the now. It's like, you don't need to look further, just stay in the now, because everything's changing so much.
And so that's right. And the rune running with that is the Tiwaj rune. So there it is. Looks like an arrow.
It's not focusing.
Like letter T, because it looks like an arrow.
Okay.
It's a bit dark, I know. I was actually working with my soldering iron a little bit today, and I made these more pronounced. I've been putting that off for a while, and so that's actually more pronounced, believe it or not. So everybody's working on figuring out like a highest truth while they're in this place of kind of a sort of material insecurity, if you will. There's perhaps some higher ideals that are what is maybe less obvious, because in this realm here in Niflheim, you know, the imagination, the intuitive things are very much in the ether. It's kind of like what happens in Helheim in the unconscious, except it's not necessary. Except it's not really unconscious. It's more just imagination. So then we move northeast into Asgard. And so in this place, we have the 8 of Stones, which is about skill.
Okay. So
the superconscious is what rests in the realm of Asgard. Oh, also, Niflheim is a water realm.
Yeah.
And Asgard doesn't have element associated with it, although you could say it kind of sits between the waters and the ether. So maybe it's a mix of both. Because in the east, where we're going next, we're going to talk, the ether is the element associated with the east. But right now, before we get ahead of ourselves, so 8 of Stones, which is about skill. And you've got a Neolithic man who is doing some craft work. Right there, right? So right now, people are getting to their ingenuity, and they're doing this, you know, as a very deliberate decision. The superconscious, this is the place where like your mind sits in high council and you rationalize things back and forth. And so when you have that argument with yourself, think about it as like the court of the gods, and everybody is talking and Odin is listening, and or Shiva or whomever is sitting on the throne of your mind in the deliberation. And one of the challenges that's popped up here, this is the Fehu rune. Now, this rune popped up reversed, actually, so it's blocked.
Okay. Yeah.
And in this system for the runes, not with the tarot cards, but they will be affected by it. Blocked runes can be dealt with, where if a tarot card comes up reversed, there's fixed reasons why it's reversed, and you need to work with that as information. Well, this gives you information that helps you get energies unblocked, which is actually going to help you with all sorts of problems. So Fehu reversed means that your base resources are in trouble. There's a struggle for money, or a struggle just to keep food on the table, to pay the bills, to keep the house, big and small. Could be one or the other depending on the listener here, or whatever's going on for you. So there's all this work, but the work's not paying off in effect. So that's a trouble that is happening in this respect. Moving into the east. This is the realm of the giants. This is the realm where Thor fights the giants. So this is about identity, ego, where concepts are birthed, where they come into manifestation. So now we got more stones. We have the 9 of stones reversed. I'm going to flip it in a second. 9 of stones reversed for tradition. Represents tradition.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that the character on there reminds me of something I keep seeing in Vikings, the TV show, where they're doing something religious. I hate that word, but they're doing ceremony, and they have the antlers to sort of embody the spirit animal, I guess.
Spirit animal, and usually it's because they're harnessing a spirit animal that's associated with a god. If not a specific Norse deity, very popular Indo-European deity is Cernunnos, who is an antlered god. Or if it is Norse with the antlers, it could be Frey, the male. Not Freya, but Frey. But so here, the personality in respects to our physical world, our physical resources, we're not adhering to the traditions that we've had. And that's because there's something going on with our soul. The Saul rune popped up. Looks like a zigzag.
Yeah.
Soilo. So right now, the ego is kind of looking at its soul desire, and there's something wrong with tradition in respect to our soul's desire, and it's manifesting through our personalities. So
I suppose going back to the old normal, or the weaponization of the new normal, and I think most of us want a completely different normal to what's been put forward.
2 of bows. Now we're moving down into the subconscious mind, which is the realm of the dwarves and the dark elves. So this is the 2 of bows, which is decision, represents making a decision. Let me flip that direct for you. Okay. Yeah. So here you've got the guy. He's got the 2 bows of fire, and so in the subconscious, this is also the realm of magic. So this is the realm where you're making creation. You're putting the work together, and you're doing something extraordinary. And a lot of that, when it comes from anybody who's a craftsman who's making something original, there's always it's always something on a deeper level. It's not unconscious. Because you know it. It's just kind of more in an abstraction, and so work that out from your subconscious, and it manifests in the work that you do, which is why this is down with where the dwarves are. And but if that work is being done for evil purposes, the corrupted dwarves that are the dark elves, they can end up taking over that stuff. And the dark elves are quite a force when when we have seen it in our world. You know, like a lot of the guys that work on manifesting all of the dark priest class stuff we were talking about earlier in the show with, you know, like corrupted Mars, corrupted Saturn, corrupted anything. Dark elves have a big play in that, and they have certain creative influence over man when they give consent to operating with these entities that have chosen the false light, if you will. And the rune popping up with our indecision, because this is a reversed rune, is Nauthish. This is the rune, 2 sticks being rubbed together to make fire, necessity, invention. It can't be reversed. So this is kind of like a creative rut that we have to be stuck in right now, probably because of other factors that need to be cleared out. So this is kind of like a fixed uncomfortability where you can't make a decision when it comes to creating. Okay.
That makes sense, because without knowing how long lockdown goes for, and I would say you're in a similar position where it's like, I know you're still rehearsing at least once a week, and you're filming it, and you've done some recording, and you release the video on a single. Not much else can follow from that at this point in time, because the next stage would be to play live. Same with me, like doing stand-up comedy or anything else like that. And especially where a lot of people are in that fear mode because of the media, they don't really think of like, you know what, I feel like watching some entertainment. There's all that tension as well. So I can understand that there's a pause in creativity for indecision, just to, I guess, the bigger realm has to work its energies out, and then it's safe to move forward in that respect.
Right, exactly. You know, because a lot of things are holding all of us back, various fears, you know?
Yeah.
Ace of Bows reversed. This is what's popping up in our southern realm. This is Muspelheim. This is fire. This is like the Lake of Fire in many respects. It's this place of destruction and creation as well, willpower, like energy in general. So Ace of Bows is popping up reversed. So this is telling us that, like this engine of the willpower is it's got the brakes put on it. The brakes are put on it. The brakes are being put on it because I guess like we're working a whole lot of things out like in our minds. That's that Monage rune. There it is. That's what I was talking about with the 2 flags facing each other.
Yeah, I think I actually have that for, it wasn't a necklace because it looked like an M, and for Monty. So that's why I have that somewhere.
Nice. There you go. Yeah, so Monage. So right now the mind is still working it out. It's not reversed, which is good. But there's an issue to be had. Real quick, just for the sake of the audience's reference, I just wanted to pop back on just to let people get that sense. They can look and see some stuff that I wasn't quite mentioning here, because I mentioned here the heart chakra. And then if you look across here, these are all the symbols for the chakras going around. So that right there is in that's in the Niflheim is up in the I usually don't think too much about all the chakras when I'm doing the readings like this, but that's the
that would be the root chakra, wouldn't it? Just go by color.
Yeah, root chakra, crown chakra. The ego area here doesn't have a chakra, neither does Helheim, which is coming up next. This is the third eye down here, the subconscious. Here in the bottom of Muspelheim, that is that's
solar plexus.
I think that's the solar plexus, right? Oh man, so lost on a handful of things, because I know that man, I put these symbols down, and I'm still
I'm just going I'm going by color.
Vedic side. I'm still working on the Vedic side of everything, but I think yeah. But for those of you that can see them in obviousness, you can see them here. Because I tried to do this where I didn't have to put the words down for them, but you can see all of the chakras. Because I built this, and it's based on that Thunder Wizard system that I do the runes on too. So just so you can see all of them here. Yeah. So.
Well, so which would be and also you've already done 3 chakras, so guessing's quite, because I think you've got the sacral throat and the one above the root chakra that was left. So
right. Okay. So now in our unconscious realm here in Helheim, we have the Page of Bows. In this deck, the courts of the lower arcana also have spirit animals that represent them instead of like an actual king or queen of some sort. So Page of Bows, which is reversed, is represented by Stoat. So he's kind of like a weasel-esque character, right? So and the bows, that's fire. Like the rods or the bow staff, if you will. And so what this means is that in our unconscious realm, we are having trouble handling with the handling of it, right? The aspects of of that fire element, of that will to act, to make change, to start something, to end something. There's a certain handle with care that's involved with it. The pages are the ones that kind of handle it. The knight champions it, but the page is the one that actually holds on to it. So the knight can do his job of being the point man of the mission.
Yeah.
So this guy is a bit lost for now, because he is in the unconscious realm. It's now being brought to your awareness, and you may not fully understand what it represents to you, but getting that sense of that young, fresh kind of new guy who is taking care of this new job or whatever. And in this case, he's reversed, meaning that he's troubled with it at the same time. So this is a place of unconscious trouble dealing with willpower.
Well, the way I sort of sense it is before the rune is that's what's happening, but I don't know what's happening. I know that is happening, but I don't know. It's a football game is being played, but I don't know what's happening in the football game. If that's a good way of explaining it.
Yeah, that makes a certain amount of sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the reason going on with this is we have Ansuj popping up reversed.
Okay. Yep. So
it's like
sad F or
Yeah, it's kind of a sad F. Yeah, I mean it's an A in reality, because Fehu is the F. Because this as an A looks very different than a lot of the comparative A's in that arose in runic tongues of similar civilizations. So when Ansuj is reversed, it means that you're getting mixed messages. It means that you're getting or you're not quite getting a message at all. And so there's a lost message that is with this this foolish handling going on of the will.
Now, is the message the result of the action, or is because of the action the message is lost? If it's what I mean. It's because there is that uncertainty. The message is not getting through, or is the message coming through because there is uncertainty?
Well, the message is something that is because it sits in the unconscious, right? So like the Page of Bows itself, it's not in your conscious field.
Yes.
When Ansuj is reversed, this energy to me reads as Loki doing tricks, because when Ansuj is direct, it's often associated with the brilliance of messages that come from Odin, and then Odin's blood brother, his bane, his shadow, is Loki, and he's the one that twists a message because he exploits what you don't know about it, because he needs to do that to keep the world in balance from your own foolishness, whether you understand the suffering that he's putting you through or not.
He's taking advantage. Taking advantage of the event or the situation.
Right. So in short, if you work on pulling out this kind of message right now, that you need to know that what you're going to initially get when you pull it out of the unconscious, when you find it, is that you want to not act on it right away. Otherwise, you're going to perpetuate the problems that you're having with this page.
It seems to a closed circuit, but that seems to be very Loki as well. It's like, I'm trying to help you, but in my own special way. Like, thank you.
Yeah. Everybody wants to understand how Loki helps you in his own special way. I had an encounter with him last night that I documented, and it's on my YouTube channel, so you can go check that out. All right, so 5 of Arrows. Now we're moving into the West. This is the realm of the air, by the way. 5 of Arrows, which is for frustration, but it's reversed.
I'm fascinated to see, positive frustration, which does make sense. It's like this frustration, but instead of having a negative response, you can have a positive response to work out what the problem is, or the challenge. Challenge is a better word than problem. So, but I'll let you explain it.
Right. That sort of can be a way of looking at it. So in our Western realm here, and things that happen on the west side of the chart, they're associated more strongly with the past in relationship to what's happening, where things on the east side are more related to the future. And so over here, this is a place of wisdom and a place of empathy. This is a realm of the nature gods, the quote unquote elder gods, like Njord, Frey, Freyr, the earth, Besla, so on and so forth. All of them, they're over there. So so the frustration on that, it's a good question as to whether that is positive frustration in this respect. I'm gonna wait on fleshing that out until I look here and see what we got. Okay, so the rune that popped up is Gebo, which is about balance, right? This is that rune about the X that I was talking about. This is it's the alchemical principle of equivalent exchange, fair trade, so on and so forth.
Yes.
So, and the Gebo rune is, if you've seen the runes that are on the Thunder Wheel, Gebo belongs in the West in the way that process works going around in the hero's journey aspect. It sits west.
That makes sense to have, not to complete your past, but have balance with your past so you can move forward.
Yeah. So I think what's happening here is that people are struggling with the frustration, because we're going through all these things, like, how decision is reversed and it's got Nalthige going on, and Nalthige can't be reversed. Gebo can't be reversed, right? balance is balance. And so people are having a hard time dealing with the fact that there's a certain sense of balance being restored to the world, and because of what they're not working on during this time of restoring that balance, they're not handling the because frustration is understandable. It's the question of, do we handle that frustration well?
Yeah,
so I think that has a lot more to do with it, because you could be too lax about it. Sometimes you need to be frustrated. You need to have friction and tension. The fives, the lower arcana, are all about that friction, conflict.
Yeah, because in a way we're on pause, and there's a frustration of by finding that balance. However, I'm going to go collectively. Individually, you could still be on pause and you find that balance and then move forward however it works for you. But I think collectively, especially if you're an entertainer that needs people, because, I mean, my cat doesn't laugh at my jokes. I'm just putting it out there, people. I'm just saying. And I play music and she goes, "Oh, will you shut up?" And so you need that interaction. And so as a collective, we're on pause, which is beneficial. However, it's very draining after the first 5 months of, so we're sort of, you do need balance to move forward. And so, I can just see where it's frustrating. Like, trying to find the end of that sentence is frustrating, to talk about frustration.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And this is because of various lessons in empathy that we are learning right now about, your empathy is not just a thing that belongs to you. It's kind of a cosmic kind of currency, if you will, and it has an exchange rate that you're getting used to by going through this manufactured lack, if you will. King of Arrows. This is now moving into the realm of the elves, the light elves, which also can be corrupted by the dark elves, because one of the things that happens in Ragnarok is that the dark elves leave Svartalfheim, which is the dark elves' realm, where the dwarves also happen to be, and then they invade the realm of the light elves to consume the light, if you will, to consume the workers of the light. So King of Arrows, the Kingfisher. It's reversed, though. I'll flip that in just a moment here.
Okay, yeah.
Yes. So
being reversed, it looked better.
Remember the shtick with the Kingfisher. The Kingfisher is a bird that actually can fly into the water, and it has a talent to act like it knows how to fish as a bird. Like, it does like all this stuff that coaxes like a fish to the surface, then it can get in there and snag it, kind of thing. Pretty impressive. So King of Arrows, so air elemental bird, and he is reversed as well. So what is happening right now is once again, this is kind of more indicative of like more lack. It's like you're not able to go out there in the usual way and pick up and pick up the things that you want, like the way that you used to be able to. You can't just you can't go get a date the way you used to be able to. You can't sell things the way you used to. You can't buy things the way that you that used to, right?
And as a stretch as well as get a gig and do stand up and start using that form of marketing to add to my YouTube, because people have seen me do stand up. But I think even if it's social distancing. Anyway, I get what you're saying. Where things are the old normal is not there.
And and then the last one that comes with this one is Kenaj. So that's the Kenaj. That's the knowledge and ability.
Oh, okay.
The enlightenment rune, right? So that one's going over here, and so this inability to go out and to use your mind in this way of being very clever, so that way you can bring home new ideas, bring home new resources, so on and so forth, make money, etc. Right now you're going through a process where you must learn new knowledge and new abilities.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Video programming, yeah. Editing.
Correct. So yeah, that is that's the complete run of it. And then just give me one fast moment. Ooh, flip that. There we go. Okay. And and then of course another thing to remember is that we use as our framing mechanism right here. We got the it's the lotus blue butterfly, right? So one of the things that's going to help us with everything that we see in this reading and are having struggles to overcome, you want to frame it through that fire element. You're going through transformation and becoming from that transformation, and lightness and beauty. So you're very much you're going through changes that you are learning to do with less, and to stop and to appreciate things that move you emotionally. And so that's kind of a framing mechanism involved with this. And I am just going to real quick, I should be able to where's Skype on my phone? And I can just send it right to you while we're having this conversation. And there it is. Uno momento, por favor.
Yes, I always get that wrong on purpose. Like, el momento, por favor. And I think Spanish and Australian accent's just terrible as well.
Did I just send that? I think I just sent that. Do you
see? I've got the. Yep. It's unread messages. Right. So yeah.
That allows me to have it here as well. So I can save as. Boom. And oh, wait a minute. Where did it save to? Okay. Then I can. Well, actually, I can just. Wait, no, I can't. Not with this one. All right. And then. That moved. That went a lot smoother than it does half the other times that I end up doing it with people, especially if I'm trying to, especially if I'm doing it like on the fly on my channel when I decide to go live and try to do live readings with people. Was it this one? I think it was this one. There it is. Okay, so folks, here is what it looks like. Let me close that. All right, can we all see that?
I can.
Excellent. So here we are. We started in the middle with Midgard. Like I said, this game is like Cosmic Tic-Tac-Toe. And in this reading, only 2 runes came up blocked or reversed. We have here in our Northeast Realm, in our Council of the Gods with Asgard, we have Fehu reversed. So there's the inability to have a rational consensus on bringing in necessities. And then over here on the opposite side is the Ansuj rune reversed in the unconscious realm. So there's no 3 that are reversed in a row, which is good. So you look at these, and there's work to be done with both of them. And what's interesting is that both of these are in the physical runes. They're in the runes that correspond to your lower chakras, your lower self.
Yeah.
Resources and coming into answers, answers. That's where we get the word answers from.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mentioned how this thing works as a guide right here. This flipped, right? You can see the thunder wheel now.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Fehu sits. If you're looking down here, there's the 3 rods on the Aegis Yelmer. This rod that's closest to Earth. That's right.
No, we've still got the tarot cards up, not the.
I'm sorry. That's what I. Okay, yeah. Let me.
I thought you meant underneath the tarot cards. I was like, I can see that, but I was wrong.
Screener window. Yep. Because I'm getting used to how it allows these windows. That's different from last time. There we go. Close that. Okay, so yeah. So Fehu, which
there we go.
Yep. So Fehu sits right down here. That's the Fehu rune. And then its polar opposite is the Raido rune. So what that tells me is, looking at how Fehu is reversed, that if we want to get this work that we're doing, that we have rationalized as this process for bringing in the resources, there's something that has to be unlocked in the actual ritual process with the work. So so there's something that you're not doing to get the work across the finish line, if you will, to where it becomes basically a product that moves, right?
Yeah.
So you're trying to figure out how to quite literally move the product.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's what's missing. And so you want to look into that energy to unblock that. That is going to go a long way for dealing with whatever's going on in our state of affairs. Now, moving down below with Ansuj, which you can see right here in the realm of the Dark Elves, in the dwarves, and its opposite is Wunjo. So there is a direct connection between the satisfaction of good work being done, and the joy and the happiness associated with the good work that puts us in a good place, and there being those clear messages that we work with, right? And so when you work with this, that's going to get this page of bows. It's going to get him flipped upright, and he's going to be able to come out of this underworld. It's making me think of, which was also thematic to the video I made last night about Loki, which of course, with Ansuj reversed down here, and Loki is, if you see here, it says got Hela Loki.
Yep.
So that's Loki is also associated with the underworld, with the unconscious in this respect, as he's kind of he exploits the unconscious, and his sister Hela, she's kind of the one that mothers it, that holds on to it like that. Very similar to the role of Kali.
Okay.
Yeah. So so where was I? Yeah. So Wunjo. So you're striving for kind of this. If you reevaluate the work that you're doing, and you make and you say to yourself, is the work that I'm doing actually satisfying me? Because once you find out what is not satisfying you about the work that you're doing, it's going to change a whole lot of things in your psyche. And those things that change in your psyche is going to help you make more sense of the answers that you're looking for other burning questions that are all hiding in your unconscious. But it's going to start with getting yourself to a place where you're satisfied with the circumstances revolving around the issue.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that is pretty much how the reading goes down.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So a bit of it's all going to work out. Here's sports.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, like, it could work out. I mean, hey, look, some people don't know how, don't know how to take advice or to read the wisdom. So
yeah,
it is in that respect. But that's that's it right there. Because other than that, all this stuff is giving you perspective, and you can make the situation better through dealing with these two blockages.
Yeah, and only 2 cards aren't reversed as well.
Yeah. Almost all of these. There's just 2 cards that are not reversed, and then there are 2 runes that are reversed. So there's almost a sense of balance in.
Yeah, I was gonna. Yeah, where now I know the bottom left-hand corner, that rune's reversed, isn't it? That one, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one we're talking. That's the Ansu's rune. That's right.
Yeah. Where's the other reversed rune?
The other reversed rune is right up here in
straight there.
Right?
In balance. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Exactly. Which so what that tells me is that the primary issue is there's a severe imbalance between these 2 polar opposites of where you've got your highest cognitive function, but also the deepest recesses of where you can't perceive. And those are the 2 major places going on in the map of your mind where there's troubles.
Okay. Yeah. And I sort of doing a show with Andrew Bartzis. We came because I made a joke about how in Northern Ireland, where it's just a religious civil war, and of course the mighty Irish go, "Oh, you mean the Troubles?" Like there was, mass death and terrorism. Oh, the Troubles, and that's what we're sort of going through now. Going through now is what will be referred to as the Troubles, and everything in that reading. There's a little bit of ooh, but the rest of it's just reinforcing what I already knew, but it wasn't in the forefront, if that makes sense.
Right. And but you know what? That reinforcement can be the most important thing, though.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people really, really need that reinforce. I mean, like, I've certainly gotten readings where ultimately it was reinforcement, because you find out that when you know you're getting a reading from somebody who's good, right? And so I hope that I'm good.
Yeah.
I ask arrogance say, so like, because you know that I am good, right? So
it's American arrogance and Australian apathy. So it's like, I'm awesome. Yeah, whatever. But that's I asked a question and that was the answer, and my intent was to make it global as well. So anyone that is watching it that is drawn here, there you go. And it does make sense. The reinforcement helps because, in a certain way, like I was asked how's stage 4 lockdown working out for you, and I realized there's an element of it feels like a grinding feeling, sort of just that pressure, because the old ways don't work, where I would like look at the news just to see what's being talked about, what's the algorithms, subjects, blah blah blah. But now it's like sometimes I just go on social media for 10 seconds. It depends on the energy that's coming out of it. And it's like, no, not today. Click and move on. So, thank you.
Yeah, and a lot of people, and and I think like we're going through extraordinarily hard changes that like we're all in this together, unfortunately, and it's like there's very little you can proactively do to change it other than what ultimately your life path was going to do in effect to other people anyway. And for those of us that did all this work before this kind of thing happened, which helps us deal with this nonsense because we figured some sort of end of the universe like this was going to go down at some point.
yeah. Just didn't know it was going to be full of masks and Karens,
right.
but yeah.
For other people, it's like they need to look in the mirror a lot longer until they're sick of it, until looking in the mirror itself just makes them want to break it, because they're in denial that they have to change, right? The way that all of us kind of like went through these changes because we looked and we saw this world that we wanted to end because it was so morally wrong, and you were looking at the things that made you happy, and it said like there's no reason why I can't be successful and happy in this particular way other than they seem to keep throwing up fucking obstacles, and then they don't care that about, like, they don't have a will to change an obstacle that's in my way because it has nothing to do with them. And it's just, I mean, like, Australian apathy, that I think that apathy is just kind of everywhere.
But Australian apathy's just got that laconic, all right.
Yeah. I mean, we're entering of Aquarius, the waters, the waters need to be mixed, and that's what it takes to mix the waters.
Well, thank you very much. I did have a thought that will come back to me after we stop recording. That's how I work. Oh, that's right. With the mirror as well, there's an element of like when you learn life lessons and then it happens 3 more times, and it's like, really? Oh, come on. I'm missing something, am I? Like, there's that frustration in the mirror. It's like, I'm sure both of us are sort of like look in the mirror and go, yeah. Look, there's the bit that I don't like. There's the bit that I've been working on. Blah blah blah. And then we're not perfect because we'll leave the planet, but we're very human. So, but there's elements now. It's like real. It's like cleaning out your closet or your attic. I've done this 8 times. What am I missing? Like what? Like, should I burn the house down now? But there's a frustration. So it's. But that's the joy of creation, where you find that thing's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So how can people get in contact with you? I will put the links and stuff in the description. But if people want to have readings from yourself like today, how can people do it?
Absolutely. Zerilath at freedomslips.com. Zerilath at freedomslips.com. This reading, when we're doing that personal dive with you into context, it ultimately takes about an hour to do. And a reading like this is like $90. I have another reading that takes about an hour to do with a different spread, which is also like a $90 reading. And then there's a $60 reading I do, which takes about half an hour to do, and it's much simpler. It only works with 4 cards and runes. So Zerilath at freedomslips.com, Zerilath. And when you see me on my YouTube channel and things like that, I'm present on all sorts of social media. I recently started a Parler account, so all of these different places you can also find me. PayPal doesn't like me, so be prepared for Zelle or the CashApp.
Okay, I'm sort of in a similar position where, like, I joined Parler and never went back again, and it's been suggested I do TikTok, and then the next day they're banning TikTok. I'm like, okay, I'm serious. I may go to Subscribestar, I think it is, but Patreon, just as they're in court with being sued for certain, and I think that's part of the frustration.
I heard about that. A big win for Owen Benjamin's fan base or something.
Yeah, as well as I think Laura Southern is interested because she was kicked off Patreon as well, and so people at that level, which I find fascinating because that goes into the frustration of trying to find that balance and move forward. Whereas like the old ways, you get a Patreon, blah 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 blah, and it's like, well, okay, what do I do next? And it's not that feeling of speed, like, I have to do this now, which kind of reinforces the way that Loki's playing funny buggers, whereas like there's an indecision, but when you find that message, I think that's great. When you find that message, to unpack it completely, don't take it as face value and then run with it. It's like, okay, he's 2 + 2 is 5. Is it? Oh, have you have you seen that the ridiculousness now where apparently maths is racist?
I'll tell you what, man. I notice all sorts of headlines that I just say that figures, and then I move on. Did you know that George Floyd was on Judge Judy?
No, I know it was on fentanyl. So,
I'm dead. I found the footage. Somebody found the footage, and then I checked it out. It's like, oh my god, that's George Floyd, and he stole some lady's car and stuff. Judge Judy. It's just like, wow. There's
synchronicity.
They make sure they got all sorts of made for TV victims all over the place.
Oh yeah, Jerry Springer was an audition, not a show. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you again. We may get you back on just to do music, talk about music and stuff. See how we go. But thank you for turning up once again and doing. It's not a personal reading because I involved everyone else. I like to share. So that was a reading from my timeline, the 6th of August. So say 3 days and it's completely different. But I think the way that it works, anyone watching that is drawn to this, you'll find it in the right time. Going from a spiritual point of view, it's like the synchronicity of like you may see this in 2 weeks and go, hey, that still applies to me.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. It's just it's the way the timeline works. It comes as needed, and because there wasn't really a specific question in mind. It leaves it open to hit the nail on the head for someone else, because you'll watch the reading and thoughts and emotions are gonna come to mind based on how our conversation between us as the third party witnessing perceives it, and then all of a sudden that reading ends up helping you, and I love it when that happens, and it'll be awesome when I make more money for doing it.
Yes, the exchange of energy. He said the exchange of energy. Yeah, because it was a general reading, which is like what's going on, and you can go a lot of different directions from it. So, that's been 2 hours. So, cha-ching. Thank you for everyone listening. He's Steve. I'm Monty, and I will be back for the next episode of Monty. I think I'm going to try and get Helena Phoenix on, and that would be interesting because she's in stage 3 of lockdowns and I'm in stage 4 as of 6th of August. It's cold. I'm going to go eat something and probably watch some Doctor Who because, balance. We will see you all again. Have fun, take care, and remember, you're awesome.